And Jillian, Ted Erickson is available.
Okay. Well, good afternoon. Welcome to Loch Alpine Sanitary Authority special meeting. Oh, I think we're looking at this for something. 3 o'clock. So this is a special meeting we've called because of a recent sewer backup in Loch Alpine. So we will. Gonna have the rest of it. Let's do a roll call, please.
Sure. Dorney, you're Brabant, absent. D'Angelo.
Here.
Arms,
Here.
Flintoff, here. Carrie,
Here.
Yeaple.
Here.
We have quorum.
Great. Well, Andrea, Dorney, you're on the board here.
Yes.
You requested to have a special meeting for this.
Yes, I did.
And we do have our township attorney, or not township, but our LASA attorney, Matt Jane, and Kevin Decker from our insurance company, and
Tom Landa, the insurance carrier's assigned counsel.
okay, that's where the other Tom came from. So, yep,
Do you want to set a quick agenda?
sure, I guess, not really sure what to put on here, other than we're talking about this, because we may go into closed session.
Yeah, I would propose an agenda where we go into closed session, come back to open session, then have public comment.
Did you want to have, maybe we should have public comment first?
We could do-
And at the
I
end.
would be open to that. We could do public comment, closed session,
Yep.
open session, public comment.
Okay, fine with me.
Guess I should speak because I'm the one affected.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
My name's Andrea Lucan.
Feel free to come forward.
Yeah, you're welcome to stand or sit.
Okay.
Chair's more comfortable.
I prepared a couple things for you. I gave the video from Michigan Power Routing to show my line was clear to Jessica just a moment ago. Monday, May 5th, I went down to my basement to turn off my lights. And I had just been down there an hour previously. My basement was completely dry. And when I turned the light off from above, my entire floor was filled with sewage. And my husband, I called various people, ServPro, Michigan Power Routing, anybody I could find on the internet, and no one was available. We stayed up till 1 a.m. May 6th, and we burnt our pump out. We could not keep up with the flow coming in. And we tried to get as much out as possible. And we woke up in the morning and it seemed like not so bad, like it was still there. And then 9 o'clock Michigan Power Routing came out, Tommy, and he was probably there for over 5 hours. So he first said that my line was clear. He had like 113 feet, I think. And do you want me to check it to the main? And I was like, yes. And he's like, I really think it's in the city line. Like this amount of flow doesn't make sense. And I don't use the bathroom that much. So then he told me, so then I called here or Blasa, and Andy came out, and I think all he heard at first was 113 feet. And unfortunately, my neighbor across the street had her pipes collapsed last winter. And I think he heard those two things and then just kind of came and talked to me really quickly and said, and a little bit like, I think it's in your line, ma'am, and call emergency Mystic and excavators. So I went in immediately and I called the excavators. which Steve DeWolf is here. And I called my neighbor down the road who does roads, Brian McCall. And previously, like before they came out, I could see Tommy from Michigan Power Rotting scouting the area, looking for manholes. And what was unfortunate was the manhole that showed the clog was covered with asphalt. It was right at the T of Bridgeway and East Loch Alpine. And I'm sorry, I am a little nervous, so apologize. I don't do this normally. And so I had to call, so Steve DeWolf and Brian McCall, I was talking to them. And then, I don't know if, I can't remember if I called or Steve called, but Andy came back with Kyle from M&K. And then it was about 4:30 and I could hear them outside my window talking. And so I was like, I'm gonna go out and see what's going on. And I talked to, they're like, it looks like it's clear water. I mean, it was just a constant stream of water gushing out my door. Thankfully, I have a walkout. But that also poses a threat for public safety, definitely our safety. It was raining a lot, so hopefully that diffused the waste. But I went out to them and they were really like, you know, talking. Kyle was talking to his boss, I believe his name was Jeff, and said, you know, I jetted the line. Do you want me to jet it a couple more times? And he went up 300 feet. The street is marked, still, shows. So like, here's the corner. I'm like out from my house. There's where the blacked sewage line was. Then there's a picture showing where my sewage line joins the main line. And then down was another mark 300 feet from the manhole further down the road. So somewhere between my join and that 300 feet, something got in and obstructed, I think, a tree root. I didn't see video or get anything like that. And what happened was all the sewage blocked up and my line became the relief valve for the main line. So then, I mean, Steve had left in between then when Andy and Kyle were out from M&K. So then as soon as I got done talking to them, and I was a little bit frustrated because I had to show them where the drain was, and I didn't want to walk through there again. I called Steve DeWolf back and he came out and I saw him sledgehammer the manhole loose. And then I went out and he had left by then. And I could see Kyle and Andy still there. And I said, so what's going on? And they're like, yes, it's in the main line. And they had to come back the next day. So this was like 5-ish, 5:30. I don't know what time they actually left. They came back the next morning at 6 o'clock. I didn't sleep at home. No one in my family slept at home. No one could eat at home. It was disgusting. And at some point my heat was on, but it no longer worked. So like the fumes went all over the house. So I had to have those cleaned as well. They came back, they removed the site, and then I had to, it needed hazmat cleaning, so I needed to do that. I do have copies of my timeline and approximately, I mean, I needed, new HVAC type equipment. It's all rusted in there and could go anytime. I needed a new washer and dryer. Like there were things that were sizzling, like energy strips that that night we were like, oh my God, unplug, and freaking out. What else was I gonna say? I think that's it. And then Paul Davis came to clean. I could not let sewage sit in my home. And I did bring some pictures of what it looked like afterwards.
And you can submit anything that you have to me and we'll share with
Okay.
our attorney and
I
insurance.
have these, and there's another one that was after
Mhm.
it was removed. I did send you a video, Jessica, it's like 1 minute long of the flow, and that's what it was like constantly.
Okay.
And I made like 10 copies of these with, this is just I wrote it up today. I have more extensive notes, but this is like my estimates and the best assumption of my time.
Thank you.
Yes. And I also just was curious, like, I don't want this to happen to anyone else. I thought it was horrific. And so I hope
Thank you.
that LASA takes steps to, make this just a safer experience for everyone, and that I can start living my life back to normal. So I think if there's any more questions, I do have more notes, and I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Andrea.
Anyone else for public comments?
It just is 3 documents. Yeah, great, thank you. All right, go ahead.
Hi, Kathleen Brandt, child trustee. I'm really sorry that happened to you. Doesn't sound nice at all. As I understand it, and maybe you could verify that any costs associated with this will be borne by all the homeowners in the subdivision. Correct?
I'm not at liberty to
I
answer
don't think
those
you can
questions.
answer that question.
Yeah,
Okay.
can't answer.
All right. I'm gonna assume that's the case because the system is paid for by the people on the system. I'm concerned about the SIO residents. That they're gonna have to pay for this, as well as Webster. And so what I would ask is that you try to minimize the cost for this because this is not something borne by a government entity. It's actually borne by the residents. Just be aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you.
David Reed, Sile, Township Trustee. I just have, I'm sorry that this occurred for you. I just have a question. I know our utilities department does a routine annual, semi-annual, however, inspection of the mains. And does that occur in LASA? Like run cameras through to see that the pipes are clear? And if not, might suggest that you do that on an annual basis.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Anyone else what? Anyone online?
Raise your hand if you would like to speak. One is Rob Pattinson. Hi, Rob.
Hi, everyone. Rob Pattinson, Scioto Township resident. Just have one question. Are there any other manhole covers that are covered with asphalt in Loch Alpine, having emergency access to the system, being inhibited by having that manhole cover covered? It seems like that should be an emergency investigation to make sure that other manhole covers aren't covered. Thank you.
Thank you,
That-
Rob.
I think Ted would be the best to answer that question. I know what happened with the last grading project that they did where they had 5 manholes they had to like pave over until they could get fixed because they were flipping. But this manhole was not one of them. It was on the maps from 1957 and it disappeared from the maps from 1963 too. So this is much, much older. And there was another manhole on Whitman Circle that got repaired because it was flipping. And, the easiest way to mitigate it, until the repair is to just, glue it down until you can actually fix the thing.
Okay.
But as far as I know, there aren't any, Ted would be a better answer for this question.
Yeah, I would suggest we not put Ted on the spot and maybe follow up with a written
What
answer.
the answer later, that'd be
With a
good.
written answer, yeah.
We can include that in the next at the next meeting on June 16th.
I see no other interest in public. Julian?
Okay, well, we will now, where did it go? Yeah, is there a motion to go into closed session? Is there support?
Second.
Second, okay.
And I would, if I could just formalize it for
Yes.
the record, a motion, by D'Angelo, support by Dorney, to go into closed session to consider material exempt from discussion or disclosure by state or federal statute as permitted under MCL 15.268 subsection H. So it is 3:19. We are now in closed session. Yes, sorry, excuse me. Trying to do too many things at once. Sorry, go ahead, Jillian.
Roll call vote, please.
Okay,
We need 2/3, right?
yes, Dorney,
Yes.
D'Angelo,
Yes.
Harms,
Aye.
Flintoff, yes, Carrie,
Yes.
Yeaple,
Yes.
6-0. We are now in closed session at 3:19 with our attorneys. The public, y'all are welcome to hang out here. We're gonna be back. We're gonna go to a different room. David and Kathleen can show you where the snacks are in the kitchen, and we'll be back as soon as we can. Yeah. I know, there are a few snacks.
At least one.
Are you going to pause the recording, Jess?
What, Rob? I have enough chairs for everybody.
Just want to see if you're going to pause the recording, Jess?
Thank you, Rob.
My key. Your Bob worked for the clerk's office.
Recording in progress. And with members of the public.
Okay, is there a motion to come out of closed session?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion by Flintoff, support by D'Angelo.
Roll call vote, please.
Dorney,
Aye.
D'Angelo,
Aye.
Harms,
Aye.
Flintoff, aye, Carrie,
Yes.
Yeaple,
Yes.
6-0. We're now back from closed session at 4:52. I would make a motion to proceed as discussed in closed session.
Is there support?
Oh, okay. It was a little faster. A little faster, okay.
Motion by Flintoff, support by Yeaple.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Then motion passes. Okay. Is there anything else at this point on the board?
I would just make a brief statement, a motion to remind LASA that we're bound by our articles of incorporation, which established the board of the LASA as well as the operating committee of LASA. And I would make a motion for this board to recommit themselves to using the board and the operating committee for the purposes set forth.
Good support.
And I would just make one note that that would mean that there wouldn't be subcommittees meeting outside of those unless expressly authorized by the board, just to improve communication on all matters.
Roll call vote.
Dorney,
Abstain.
You have to.
you have to vote.
Do I have to vote? Okay.
Unless there's, excuse me, unless there's, a conflict of interest or something you want to declare. But you have to vote.
Okay, yes, if we can get people there every 2 weeks, sure. But
Do you want to discuss the motion?
yes,
more?
I'd like to discuss the motion further.
I would say the LASA board is, the body that makes policy, deliberates for LASA. The LASA board has created through its articles of incorporation and longstanding operating committee. The frequency of the board meetings, the frequency of the operating committee is flexible. Certainly if the board needed to meet more frequently than quarterly, we could. There have been times where the operating committee, it's always convened as needed by the chair. It could meet every month, it could meet every week, it could meet as frequently as needed. At our last board meeting, we appointed members to that operating committee, and I think we should rely on them. So if the operating committee, for example, wanted to meet tomorrow, Jillian could call for that meeting.
Well, LASA has changed hands. The LASA board, the last LASA board, there was here for a long time with the same members. We had John Kingsley and Jack Knowles and, you know, whatnot. Some people.
Dave
chose-
Navarre for a long time.
Yeah, Dave Navarre. So, we're a new committee, or we're a new authority board. And also the operations to some degree. So we have a lot to go through. We have articles of incorporation. I know that has been worked on or is in the process, right?
Have it at the
And
next
also we have policies and procedures that we need to review. We need to implement different policies and procedures. So I suggest that LASA, meeting once every 3 months. And there's a lot that we could be doing to improve communications with residents, with, we have a website, also payroll needs to be taken care of, which hasn't been done in a year and a half. There's lots of things that we need to do, so I'm suggesting that we meet once a month.
I think
And
if we could-
for the board, and then at least 2 times a month for the operations.
I think that's a fine suggestion and it should be brought to the June 16th regular board meeting.
But just-
that's good.
I also feel, as somebody who's been on this board since 2023, that last year was not good for
Mhm.
getting business done. And the,
Agreed.
picking it up with the informal meetings really got a lot of things, moving. Especially in springtime, when you gotta move on contracts, if you don't move on them, then they don't happen till next year.
Absolutely, and certainly, phone calls with contractors, one-on-one, things, but when it's, issues that affect the LASA board.
And
would
yeah,
recommend
which,
it not be handled through ad hoc committees that
well,
are established by the board.
and nothing else has been handled with this ad hoc committee. It's only been at the suggestion of Colleen from Woodhill suggested this. So I, as a new board member, chair, could be educated and because I'm learning a lot in a fast amount of time. And also F&B to keep them on track, because they do, they go off for 3 months and do their thing. And then they come back to the operations, and there's a lot that's lost if they don't have.
We
And
have
the same-
550 households we have to take care of,
Mhm.
okay? And a lot of people think that turning the faucet on and flushing the toilet takes no work at all. It always infuriates me, but it takes a lot of work.
Mhm.
And we need to do that work. And currently, in our current schedule, we're not doing it. We're falling behind. We have projects that have been literally on the table for years, like 3 or 4 years.
I'm
And-
all for meeting as frequently as we need to, truly.
And they keep not getting done, like the water tower project has not been done because it isn't done promptly enough in the spring to get us on the list.
Part of being a governing body responsibly is having public meetings. The
Mhm.
board meetings are public, the operating committees are public. Anything not authorized by that board is not happening in public, so. We serve the residents, we can serve them best when we follow.
I'm aware Navarre had phone calls and meetings with Sally Enkler, who was on the part-time staff, and she was taking phone calls with contractors.
Sure.
Between
Yep, he
meetings.
handled the billing. Michael handles billing issues. I mean, certainly there's things that happen between meetings. I'm not suggesting we don't talk to each other between meetings, but I'm saying that any kind of ongoing committees be established by the board. Our next meeting is June 16th. If you'd like to propose a second committee in addition to the operating committee, you know, that can be done. But I also think the operating committee would be open to meeting as frequently as needed. I don't see these as in conflict with each other. What I'm saying is we need to improve our communication, and especially when issues like this happen, we need to make sure that we're communicating in public and clearly on behalf of LASA.
So okay, so I think that we should talk about that in the next meeting, about authorizing something that's more practical. I'm not on the operating committee, you know, so it's not like I'm gonna go, you guys need to meet every week. So I think that's a good idea to talk about that next time. I mean, I do agree that we as a board should set up what, you know, the other committees, subcommittees. So, but we could totally do it.
Well, I totally agree. We need to work out something that everybody agrees on because work's not getting done. This work has been, you know, on the table, you know, in various board meetings for years that just didn't get done because it didn't get moved along.
And
Just to be clear, there's been no decisions made. These are things that are already
Oh,
in
no.
place, and to keep, you know, like, oh, where are you at this point? And then, you know, I ask questions like, what is a,
right, and I'm actually, I mean, to be honest, I'm very grateful that someone is doing more, you know, the day-to-day oversight. So
well, thank you.
I think I just think we should vote on it.
Discuss daily, you know, the more oversight at the next meeting.
Yeah, whatever structure is needed.
All right, I would vote for that. Second.
Yeah, I mean, and my motion is just really for the right now between May 29th and June 16th, that we have our operating committee and our board. I mean, in addition to, you know, individual conversations that need to happen, but that we don't have other ad hoc committees talking about substantive matters.
Well, you're in the middle of the roll call, right?
I was, and then I think we're
Oh, yeah,
continuing
there was
discussion.
I think that changed.
Oh,
yeah, Jeff,
I think it changed because I think it
So-
became,
So my motion would be to adhere to our current articles of incorporation, to hold board meetings and operating committee meetings and no other subcommittee meetings not authorized by the board. And at the June 16th regular LASA board meeting, we can discuss, you know, meeting frequency, committee structure, whatever we need to get the work done.
Jeff, you have any,
Okay, so
Yeah,
we're buying.
I agree, we can create subcommittees if we need to. It also sounds like there are new people on the board. I mean, when we're talking about this, and maybe we should bring in the engineer and have him do a presentation of, this is the stuff that we deal with, this is where we currently are, because a lot of us got brought into this and we have not been here since 23. So it would be good, and a lot of those questions I had asked before when we were in there, but that was during a regular meeting, and they're not always ready to answer those questions, like
Right,
how many linear feet of pipe do we have, how many structures,
Right.
what's a lot of that stuff. And I think that it would be good to have a presentation put together about that and about the operations, like how old's the system? I mean, I don't even know that.
1930.
Yeah, so, I mean, those kind of things. So there's a lot of
US
information that I
Big
think you
Structures
could
from
all benefit from.
1930.
absolutely.
And even, you know, I mean, that could be a public meeting for education too,
Mhm.
people can come in for it. So I'm in favor of that and in favor of, you know, if we need subcommittees, we do subcommittees, so.
Ryan, do you have anything?
no,
Okay.
That's it. It's part of it. You're really short.
Go ahead. Oh,
Dorney?
Yeah.
On the motion, Dorney,
Yes.
D'Angelo,
Yes.
Harms,
Aye.
Flintoff, yes, Carrie,
yes.
Yeaple,
Yes.
motion adopted 6-0. You want to go through?
Pardon me? The fact finding conversation
We want to.
from the board or from
If we want.
Oh. Should we do more public comment or have a open it to public? Yeah, let's see, because that's what we had decided earlier. Or, so let's open this up to public comment for anybody that's here in the public or in person, if you would like to speak.
I just know that if I did not have a walkout basement, my house would have been destroyed. So, I'm also like curious what you're doing about, like the groundwater, all the sewage that went out, all this sewage for 33 hours just rushed out my door. So, like, I don't know what you're doing about like the environmental responsibility, acknowledging. I don't wanna like put myself out there and then, because people are weird and they'll might blame me. But like I don't necessarily want the burden of telling people about the hazard.
Your backyard was lined. That, or at least I was told that by F&V, they lined the black
Oh,
backyard.
okay,
Did they file a report?
yes.
They filed a report.
How much was spilled?
There was an estimate that was asked for in the form, to Eagle, and
It was 200, they estimated 200 gallons.
In my opinion, they're where
that was 200 gallons just in the yard.
Yes, 3 bathroom pools. I also disagree with this, but I didn't file a report. It wasn't my job.
that could be an issue.
The flow was like this high for 33 hours.
You have a great video. You should show them the video.
That video is at least a couple gallons a minute for 33 hours.
Yeah, you had a 4-inch lintel on your door, so you had a 4-inch
I had to
lintel.
also dig away the bottom of my door so that it would go out faster.
Yeah, there were thousands of gallons. There was no 200 gallons.
Who needs to see the video?
And Andrea did share it, I can forward it to the board. Yeah, but she did, yeah.
Do I need to show it now or do you wanna?
I didn't share the video.
I sent it to Jessica
Oh,
today.
sorry,
Are you able
too many Andreas, sorry.
No, I suggested that, I didn't know if videos would be shown, but I suggested to Andrea that she bring the video if she
Okay.
wants to.
It's on my phone, hold on. I'll start it over.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to find out. Oh, sorry, the sound.
You can clearly see that it's reached scouring velocity. That's 2 feet per minute, per second.
And back in there is where the drain is and the furnace, washer, dryer, water heater are there, and they are rusted, corroded, and some things that, are higher up, we moved when we were down there at night because we were panicked. And that is how it flowed out for 33 hours. Can you see that? Is that enough?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That was 1 minute.
I'm sorry,
That was only 1 minute and
The video?
14 seconds, yeah. So multiply that by 60 and 33 hours.
thank you. You have anything else to? That you can think of?
I have to leave. I haven't been working, but I want to say thanks, but I'm curious, has a decision been made?
It's in review with the insurance companies. I guess, I mean, that's. Matt, do you have anything to? How to answer that, please?
I think all I can say is it's under review.
Matters under investigation. Matters under investigation and review.
Well, what is I did work in insurance previously, so I do know how these things work. So what is your time frame?
Unfortunately, I can't give a time frame on the matter.
Well, you were Lassa's attorney, correct?
Yes,
Okay, so, with the insurance company, how long?
I would say anywhere from 30 to 90 days.
Okay.
I can't give you a firm answer. I'm not the one making the ultimate decision, so that's my best guesstimate.
Who's making the ultimate decision?
The insurance carriers in this matter.
What, is there anything I can provide to expedite this? Because my life is upended. And I don't know if you've ever experienced fecal matter running through your home. And not having a furnace or a way to wash your clothes or just to live as you had before. This is gonna, this needs to move faster.
I'll certainly relay that and you know, I'll try to do my best, but I'm not the one making the decisions. I'm here representing the board. That's all I can.
Can we agree that this incident was very unfortunate? Nobody here would want sewage running through their house.
Yes.
And there needs to be something done, some kind of settlement. And for all the damage and everything else that took place, not only, at the house, hopefully the stuff moving down the street, down to the creeks, down to the pond, but nothing ever happened at the lakes there. But it just seems that real is real, truth is truth, fact is fact. The sewage used her sewer line as a relief valve caused by whatever happened. You can call it Mother Nature, you can call somebody running paper diapers or, baby wipes, too many down there, and it plugged the sewer. Unfortunately, it used her sewer to be the relief valve. The best thing that this whole group of people can understand here, had she lived in a normal basement, 9.5 feet to 10 feet tall with little windows, as most basements are, she would have probably 9.5 or 10 feet of sewage coming out these little windows, and the damage would be astronomical. The house would be probably taken down. I mean, just cleaning that, restoring that, the atmosphere would have been just forever, just trying to get that out of the house. So I think it's very fortunate for the insurance company and everybody involved here that that didn't happen. It used her back door, 12 inches above the floor or 2 feet above the floor, whatever it is, and then they took out the grout under the door jamb to let the sewage go up faster. that didn't happen. So we're looking at a case here which is much smaller than what it really could be. And nobody would want sewage running through their house. It is not, I've been an underground contractor for 50 years. I've been in sewage, in pipe, and I've laid that stuff and I've backed stuff out, and it is not a good scene. So I'm just hoping that everybody here agrees. There's fault here. And then that's why you have insurance companies to make sure nothing is gonna happen. We're gonna take care of what it is. It's peanuts compared to everything else in life. And it could be far worse.
And the weight on it too also worries me, because if action and better practices aren't put in place, what if this happens again? So it doesn't look good, and I have spoken to attorneys. I don't want to go that route. I want what's right to happen. I want my life back. I have a daughter who's a junior. She's looking at colleges. My summer plans were to help her tour colleges and get ready for her next chapter. It was not to deal with all of my neighbors' bathroom waste entering my home and disrupting my life. This has been my 24/7 job since May 5th at night. My husband can't be here. He had an appointment the next morning with Apple, Rolls-Royce, an interview. And then he's an engineer. He didn't leave his job today to be here because he couldn't leave his client without a working machine. He's a dedicated employee. I had people who didn't have the right machinery and left me for another 12+ hours with that much sewage going through my house. Like, I did not sleep. I had dreams that people came in and stole my underwear, like down to everything. This isn't fair. I shouldn't have to wait all summer. This shouldn't have to be my summer to wait for this to get corrected.
Well, I'll just say, it's anytime that there's a sewage backup, it's an unfortunate, unpleasant situation. No,
What about-
as you said, no one wants that to happen.
If it were just
But-
my sewer line and it was my fault, I would have had to only deal with my fecal matter, not the whole neighborhoods. And there is the Public Act 222 that says that if it is in the main line, that it is responsible. The people who manage that are responsible for it.
I'm just going to politely disagree with you, okay? The law is more, it says more than that.
So what does
And the
it
law is very clear on the process and what elements have to be met in order for a municipality to have liability. And we're not going to acknowledge or admit now that there is any responsibility or fault, because as we've said, we're in the process of reviewing and investigating this. It's all a very normal part of the process that the information is submitted, and there's a time frame under the statute for it to
What
be
part of
reviewed.
Public 222 am I not understanding? What part of that?
I'm not
is
gonna,
clear?
ma'am, respectfully, I'm not gonna get into. a
Well, you're
legal debate
disagreeing,
about-
but you're not giving me any facts.
Because I'm saying at this point, we're not able to, and we're not making a determination. It's under review. The facts are under review. It's gonna go to insurance, and then decisions will be made. And the council just advised that his timeline for that is 30 to 90 days. I don't think that's an unreasonable amount of time for a review to happen with information, and when you have coverage issues and you're looking at whether, there's liability under the statute.
So that's non-answer
That's
answer.
just not
I
something
asked
that
you,
can happen.
what is it that makes you disagree? What are the rules?
Again, I'm not gonna get into it with you here
Okay, that's a
today.
non-answer answer. You're not answering my question.
I'm sorry, but we could spend probably 2 hours debating over what.
I don't need to
222
hear
says.
words that mean nothing. I need an answer that helps me move forward and get my
All I
life
can
back.
tell you is that we're moving forward in good faith as quickly as we can. And our intent is to act in good faith and to review all the information submitted and make a decision in accordance with Michigan law.
Maybe we need a different insurance company, a different insurance policy that protects us better, that we wouldn't have to go through this again. It's the second time in 2.5 years for our residents.
Bob, she's curious.
What, you said this is the second time in 2.5 years? Excuse me.
The first time was a water main that broke and flooded the person's house and wrecked the house. She's out about $100,000 with no insurance covered, denied by the same company. I believe it's the same company.
Bob,
It is the same company. Please correct me if I'm remembering the facts wrong. Is that related to the electric vehicle fire
Yes,
and the broken water main that flooded her home? And my understanding was there wasn't homeowners insurance.
From what I understand, it's not covered.
Yeah.
And I don't have the sewage endorsement. I did,
Of course.
and then I understood because I talked to people in Detroit, a law firm that deals with this, in, class action manner. And that I'm not in a flood zone, so it's not necessary for me to have this sewage endorsement. According to a lawyer, in Detroit, and I could get that information from you, but that was just one of my conversations.
Well, I would say our next board meeting is June 16th, and I would, if there's any update by that point, I know this board will have it on that agenda, or the operating committee June 13th, or if there's an operating committee, called, tomorrow or Monday. Certainly those are publicly posted meetings where any updates that we're able to give, we'll be able to give them publicly as soon as possible.
We can make sure that's on there.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Steve. Thank you.
I mean, I have to put my house back together. This is. And when I called, they said they couldn't tell me what to do. So, because it's under investigation, what is needed to investigate this further? What is needed for me to help move this forward? I've given pictures, video. I have pictures from Paul Davis with, they just uploaded some more things. I know their guy changed, but what is needed for me to make this go smoother and more quickly?
Aside from submitting everything to Tokyo Marine.
Which I think I have,
Okay.
but I don't think Robert is here.
No, Robert is not here, but is there any other advice? For the homeowner? I mean, Kevin Decker.
Yeah, I don't
here.
think there's anything additional that needs to be submitted.
Okay.
Yeah, at this point.
So what is holding, what is taking so long for the,
I think the insurance company has to speak, not only to look at all the things all documents you certainly have submitted, but they also have to. They may want to reach out to those vendors that you've worked with and ask questions. So
Sure.
I obviously I'm not them, I'm not an insurance expert. But
sure,
unfortunately, having gone through insurance claims in the past, I do know. There's processes that happen in the background, just it's an unfortunate.
and my estimates are, some of them I have. A bill, and some are estimates, and so still things are coming up that I'm forgetting, so I don't wanna estimate myself too low. I also don't wanna go too high, so I'm trying to be as honest and fair as possible, and I want this to end.
Kevin, the 30 to 90 days, is that standard protocol for claims?
Yeah, I was just saying, it can vary. I mean, it's not like a standard or, it's, there just has to be investigation completed.
And that's, I think that's an answer. I think it's on the, I've been involved in many cases where it's been beyond that. There's a lot of moving parts to these kinds of claims, many different insurance carriers, different issues, that need to be fully fleshed out.
So am I supposed to wait 90 days and to put my house back together?
I can't answer that question. It's a legal question that someone needs to, you would need to ask someone. I can't answer that. I can't give you legal advice on whether or not you need to put your house back together or not. I can't, unfortunately, I can't answer that.
Have you've taken pictures of every area of your basement?
Yeah, and they took pictures, Paul Davis took pictures
Okay.
of like before and after. Yeah. But I mean, I did buy a washer and dryer. I had a furnace that didn't work, so I had to buy that. It's been cold these past few days. I had to pay for my air ducts to be cleaned because feces went through the whole house and the whole house smelled. And then it had to be treated for antibacterial.
This is an unfortunate incident. And I'm sorry that you're going through this. But it sounds like you have done your due diligence. Everything is over at the insurance company, and unfortunately, we can't make the insurance company move any faster. But if they have everything from you that they need, that's going to make it be able for them to have everything, so they're not reaching out and asking again. And it is 30 to 90 days. It may be sooner, it may be up to the 90 days, and just hopefully it's sooner for you. I don't have anything else.
My house would incur further damage if I didn't, get some of these things taken care of, and I need a place to live. So. Nobody could stay at, like, my daughter did not stay at home that entire week. Nobody stayed at my house that night. It was too disgusting to cook. So I'm incredibly disappointed that there wasn't, I felt like this was as clear as it could be. And I worry about my neighbors and if this were to happen to them as well. And it does bring a certain lack of trust.
There's already an eroding of the trust of LASA by the Loch Alpine residents, so
A lot.
this is going to be watched by the entire community. Cause this could happen to any one of us. And it's been bungled from the get-go, so it's for someone to be on their own to deal with this without any guidance. Our own resident, we can't talk to our own resident on the LASA board. So
I apologize. I was advised not to talk to you.
That's the
after
problem
this,
is-
started.
yeah,
I apologize.
well, I know it's not your fault. It's just something that's absolutely absurd.
Yeah, because
We have
feel-
no guidance from the people we pay our utilities to have our system work properly. And we expect something in return for all this money that we're paying
And
into it.
our bills are crazy too. Like my neighbor Judy had a bill last summer and it was she's almost 90-year-old woman who lives by herself and she had $1,000 bill. Like, and then someone had to come out and, you know. It's just, we need representation from somebody who lives in our neighborhood, who knows what it is like. And we need transparency and we need to pay for the service. We need that to mean something. We need to have sanitary water. And it's not cheap.
Well, thank you for sharing. And not just the issue you're going through, but these other things in it. I don't know, if we are a relatively new board. We were elected in November. And there's only one person that's been here for a short period. I mean, considering the length of LASA. So we're working on learning and catching up and making changes. That lack of trust, I've heard that for a long time. I don't live in Loch Alpine. I'm just a Scioto resident that ran for election. But I do take this role seriously. And I am doing my best to catch up, to learn, and then also make lists of the things that we need to do. Better communication is one of them.
I would be happy to help you with that. I have worked in insurance. I have wrote manuals. I have worked for DTE as a contractor and trained them on best practices and software. So I would be happy to help.
And that's part of why, you know, I'm glad the board supports getting back to the public operating committee meetings. Because that's where we really rely on the residents more, to help inform and bring everybody's expertise. I do hope over the last couple of years that the billing is better. I know we made some improvements there, but we do need to deal with some of these structural issues. We've got a small system that's not growing. The costs of everything continue to increase. Climate is changing and we're gonna need to start, and it's an aging system. We need to really, really look at, and I know this board is committed to it, is look at our whole way that we've been operating, because if we need some changes. And again, Andrea, I am so sorry that this happened to your home, to you, to your family, and
I don't hold it against you personally.
no, and it's okay if you did, and I know you don't, but we need to, you know, do the right thing the right way, and it's just gonna take a little bit of time.
I appreciate your efforts on my behalf, and thank you.
And this was our first meeting on this. I know we'll talk about it as much as we need to, at however many board meetings we need to.
Bob?
Is it possible to see a copy of the insurance policy?
Absolutely.
Would that be posted someplace or
I can send it to you.
a link?
Yeah,
Fine.
I can send it to you and post it.
Thank you.
Sure.
Jess, you're gonna send that. Okay, any other?
Should I get an attorney? Like, or are we there yet? I don't wanna go there. I don't wanna go there. I will not pay for that. I will.
But Andrew, I cannot advise you what you to do. You will have to do what you feel is best for you.
I can make a comment that you have to notify the insurance company within 45 days. That has been done. And then there's another 45 days cool off period. And that's where you can sue. Is that correct, Matt, Jane?
The statute provides for a 45-day period to provide notice of any claim under the statute. And then, yes, there is a 45-day period after that.
So I have 90 days in total to decide.
essentially, but you can decide sooner. That's totally up to you. We can't tell you what to do. This decision is your decision.
And again, unfortunately, questions asking about legal opinions and legal, it's not that, you know, we don't want to be helpful. We just can't give you legal advice because you're not our client. And we represent,
I
you know,
understand.
the board of LASA. So
I think they all wanna help me. I believe in them and I trust that they wanna help me.
Could we move to public comments on Zoom? Is that?
Sure. Okay. If you have a public comment, please raise your Zoom hand. First up is Pam Boyd, followed by Caroline Altamar. Hi, Pam.
Hi, Pam Boyd, a SIO resident. My heart goes out to this resident, and I hope that a lot of positives are able to come out of this episode for residents as well as for the LASA board. As a SIO resident who does not live in Loch Alpine, I have attended the LASA meetings for the last 5 years. And I'd like to let the resident know that if you would like to go and look at some of the old LASA meetings, you can go to SIO Community News YouTube channel, and you will find LASA meetings. Rob Pattinson has diligently put all SIO meetings on this YouTube channel, and we decided with a couple of earlier 2001 meetings, we didn't put them online because there was personal information being released. But probably the last 3 years worth of meetings are there, and that can kind of bring you up to speed. Unfortunately, I was one of the residents who taught this early LASA board about Open Meetings Act. Dave Navarre, I think, was very passionate about doing the right thing when he was chair of this committee. And he, because I could not find the links anywhere, he would email me the agenda for each of the meetings. So that's how I knew. I did feel that they were somewhat neglect in letting residents know. Maybe there was another pathway that I wasn't aware of. But now they are listed on the SIO website of when the meetings are. So that, but you have to know that. You have to know that to find the information. So, so that's what I have to say to you. I do feel that there's a lot that this new board needs to learn, and I appreciate all that you guys are doing, and all that you're learning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you.
Thanks, Pam. Next up is Caroline Altamar, followed by David Reed.
Greetings, board. This is my first LASA meeting that I am observing. And the only thing I have to say is, and it's not much help to this poor resident that had this issue, but I just want to tell you that my heart goes out to you. And I really heard the plight that you're in. And I'm just so deeply sorry that you had to go through that. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. Next up is David Reed. Hi, David.
Hi, David Reed, South Township trustee. I have to say I'm very concerned, very disappointed that this resident might have to wait between 45 and 90 days to find out about resolution of any costs involved or any liability. And I have to say that this is one more reason why I am opposed to private sanitary systems, sanitary sewer systems. this whole pointing fingers, he said, she said, the insurance companies, the lawyers, this is gonna take, this is not a good situation for our poor resident here. And I just don't understand why it's gonna take so long. I would suggest that perhaps the LASA board should perhaps create a fund, an emergency fund that could help residents in this situation, regardless of liability. Because if it's found that that the LASA board is not liable or the township is not liable, the resident would then have to pay the fund back. But at least the resident would be able to get repairs moving, get her furnace fixed, the appliances repaired. But not everybody can just walk into Big George's and charge an entire house or entire basement's worth of equipment. And so I don't know what the situation is, but I feel for this resident. I'm thinking to myself, how the heck would I do this? Which is, I have to say, which is one reason why I don't have a basement. But so I'm extremely disappointed in the results of this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
David.
David.
Good idea. Any other interested public, please raise your hand. Seeing none.
Well, I believe that we are at the conclusion of this meeting, and is there a motion to adjourn? Or is there anything else?
I would just say as an announcement, all the meetings are posted on the Scioto Township website. The next scheduled operating committee meeting is June 13th. Next board meeting is June 16th. If there are any additional special meetings of the operating committee or board, they will be publicly posted. And you can always reach the LASA board by emailing lasaboard@sciotownshipi.gov. Also the LASA water site is the place to go for any billing, but definitely I know there will be much more information to come from this board.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll move. Adjourn. Second.
A second, did you?
Motion by D'Angelo, support by Harms.
At 41.
5:41, okay. All in favor to adjourn at 5:41, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? None. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's say thanks, Joey. Thanks for